Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
What are you doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And that is how we get rid of wood scraps.
You're on FaceTime.
Am I really? Why?
But nobody's answering. Hello?
Who are you calling?
I called my Aunt Rosie, my Aunt Kathy, Viva's family, and my mother.
I see. Well, I'm gonna run downstairs.
Okay. Enjoy. Bye.
Okay, bye. So I'm not quite done yet. I have a ways to go. Take a look at the progress so far. So this is what the color turned out to be. Actually, it looks pretty good. I like it. But you get the effect of what's going on here. So it's all basically trimmed out. I got this piece I just cut. I'm painting it first. So the secret to getting absolutely crisp lines on your paint job is to do the trim before you install it, and let the next guy deal with the masking when they decide to change the color. This stuff tastes like candy. Only a little bit worse. Anyway, I'm going to put trim above the door. Now that's going to interfere with this, so I have to cut the trim board. I'm going to rip it down. Put this sangria down first. Alright, so let's see. This piece right here is not an exact fit because the beam is twisted, so it won't allow it to go to its natural position. So there's going to be a little bit of an uh-oh over there. But I'm not too concerned. Really not at all. Actually, I might have to take a blade's width off of that right there. Yeah. It took a little too much. Shut up. That took a little too much off.
Don't tell me to shut up on New Year's Eve.
I'm gonna do that.
Shut up.
Yeah. Alright. Well, can you hold that? Yeah, I don't... took a little...
Say sorry and I'll hold it.
Sorry. But I'm mad at myself. I'm gonna have to do like putty or something in there because I'm not gonna remake that piece. Finished Carpenter in a can. And you just go like that. And then when it dries, we just put a couple coats of paint on it like it never happened. But I'd rather not double my efforts and remake stuff that I've already cut, you know? So I had to buy a new circular saw. I went with the DeWalt because I happen to, every DeWalt tool I've ever owned, I have been 100% satisfied with. My previous circular saw was actually a Ryobi, which is pretty much the working man's and working person's saw. I can't say man anymore, apparently. It's a working person's saw. I mean, it's a Ryobi makes good stuff. You know, they're not bad. But after using my Ryobi for a number of projects around this house, it started to develop a bit of a blade wobble, and from what I could tell, there was just the slightest amount of movement in the front bearing. It might have been the rear bearing because the motor shaft would kind of do one of these, so the blade would kind of, as you're cutting, it would go like this, and you could never get a perfect cut out of it. It was getting worse the more I used it, and I'm like, you know what? The hell with this. I paid $75 for that saw, maybe a little less, and it came with a case and a blade and all that shit. What I did was I put it on Facebook Marketplace 2 years later, and I sold it for $50. So it looked brand new. I mean, it didn't. There was nothing wrong with the saw if you're using it for basic carpentry, but if you wanted to get a finished product out of it, it just wasn't happening. So this is what I bought. I love this saw. Probably weighs a bit more than the Ryobi did, but it's definitely more robust. It has an aluminum plate. The Ryobi had a stamped steel plate, and I'm sure I dropped it more than once. So I think the blade was the plate was probably a little off. But it's too bad. It was a good saw. It had a laser guide that wasn't very accurate, but it was, it was a selling point. All right, let's get this cut. And then what I'm going to do is that's going to finish the top, and then I'm going to cut a piece to finish the top of the door frame. We'll see how it looks. So the upper part of the door frame is going to be a challenge. Real challenge. Because I guess no matter what I do, if I do that, either way it's going to look pretty stupid. I don't have a piece of wood big enough to fill in the gap. Maybe I do. Do I want to go through that effort? It's definitely an awkward one. Sure. This is what I've worked out. This is all getting cut out here, and then this is going to make way for the ductwork, and then this is going to stay full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do this with a handsaw. It's going to take a little bit longer, but I just think it'll be. I don't have the right. I have a jigsaw, but it's not a very good one, and you don't use a circular saw for this. Probably could, but probably shouldn't. So I cut it by hand. Okay, I ended up using the table saw, realizing that, yeah, that's like totally possible. So why not, right? Okay, I think we're okay. I mean, look, all right, I cut that a little bit too. That's not bad, actually. For something I did, that's not bad. I can fix that with wood filler. It'll look perfect. No one will ever complain about it. So, all right, I think we're ready to nail it all together, and I'll get some wood filler. We'll patch up the screw-ups and fix up the fuck-ups, and we'll be done with it. Sweet. I think it came out pretty good. What do you think? For mostly being made of scrap, with the minimal budget, I think it came out okay. $5 paint, free drywall. Most of the trim actually came from another project I had, but I ended up using AZEK. It was an exterior trim project, so I didn't use the pine. So that went into this. I had to buy 3 8-foot or 1x4x8s for the door trim. I wanted it in one piece rather than spliced. And for this piece over here on the side. Beyond that, all the 2x4s that I braced the studs with, all scrap. And oh, I forgot to put some filler on that. I will do that. But I did all the other joints, so they're pretty much seamless. Now let's take a look at the sink. So in our last video, we did get the sink installed, and I think I only filmed the plumbing of the drain. But the new faucet came in, and this is what I'm putting in. This was not cheap. This sucker cost me, I think, $125. And in today's faucet money, that's a lot of money. But it's solid brass, chrome plated, and that's going to go right on the wall. We're going to mount it right in the middle. Tomorrow I've got to hit up the the hardware store, and I have to get these NPT fittings. They're actually solder on or sweat fit NPT fittings that go on that, and the plumbing goes straight into it. Just actually, they're the same fittings that are on the original faucet, exactly the same. But yeah, we got to buy new ones for this. So I'm going to put that over here. I set up my CD player down here because it's just sitting upstairs collecting dust, and I find myself constantly listening to music down here, and I'd like to enjoy my CDs. So I've got this Panasonic 5-disc CD changer that I don't even remember where I got it from, but I've had it for a couple years, and now it's going to get used. So, all right. Right now what I want to do is I want to fix that leak. And here's how we're going to do it. So I've got my Dremel tool set up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I have a basically what amounts to a dental burr or a routing bit. And we're going to use that to etch away at the, not etch away, but we want to grind away that leak, or the crack. I mean, we want to grind out the crack as much as we can. And for two reasons. Turn that on. We want to make sure that the crack is stop drilled so it doesn't grow. And we also want to give the, I'm going to be using JB Weld. It's designed for wet locations. There's a putty that we're going to mix up and stick in there, but it has to have a mechanical bond to the concrete to work. So, hear that?
Yeah, that bit's gone. Okay, that did not work out as I had hoped.
It's a little before and after shot. So here's before. I mean after. Well, here's what a new bit looks like. You can't see it. It won't focus. Look at that. Yeah. Not so good. We're going to chalk this one up to wishful thinking. This is a just a cutting wheel. It's probably not going to work. What I should probably use is a die grinder. I do not have one, actually. I do not have a die grinder. But I'm not opposed to buying one. All right, let's see how this works.
Okay. Yeah. It's not working. Gotta watch your eyes.
Alright, so what we have here is JB water weld. I'm going to break off a piece of that, and we're going to try, this is the color tube. We're going to mix it up real thoroughly. And we got to try to use this to patch that crack. See what happens. This is one of those weird situations where if this sink were to completely fail, there is no modern equivalent to this thing. Nobody's making these anymore, to my knowledge. And if they are, where? No, I wouldn't replace it with a new one. If anything, I would try to find another one just like it. Yeah, this is not going to work. Alright guys, it's been a day. And, well, a couple hours. This stuff looks pretty tough. What I want to do is maybe try to sand it. This stuff is really tough. It actually did bond pretty good to the concrete. I'm gonna have to file it, actually. think it's time we can leak test it now. I use cold water. We're gonna fill the basin and see what happens. Shit. Just kidding. That water was because that faucet leaks over the rim and it was dripping behind the sink. But so far, so good. So far, so good. Still nice and dry. No leaks. So the masonry waterproofer that I was going to use on this sink, I've decided not to use it because it actually does peel off. So we're not going to be using that stuff. Check that crossover drain. So the way the sink is designed, there it goes. The way this sink is designed, if you were to, let's say, put the stopper on both sides and leave it that way, and just let the water rip, what's going to happen is it's going to fill up the other sink, and then as it starts to overflow, it's going to direct the water. In between here, there's a tube that goes straight down into the drain. So it's designed so that it can't be overflowed. But we've left this water in for a few minutes now, and there's some standing pressure there. And so far, no leaks. So I'm okay with that. But as far as beautifying the inside of the sink, it's just not going to happen. And I'm okay with that. And like I said, if the crack gets worse, or if something happens and it just can't be used, I'm just going to call up one of those junk removal guys and tell them to haul it away. I'll pay them whatever they want, take it away, and then what I'll do is I'll put like a double plastic sink in its place. I hope I don't ever have to do that, but I'm not unwilling to do that, you know. Reality is what it is. You can't just go out and buy a brand new one. They don't make them anymore. Alright folks, so what we got to do now is we got to start doing some plumbing. I got some time, nobody else is in the house, I'm here alone. So no worries about people needing the bathroom or anything like that. So, where do we start? We need to shut off the house's water supply and start draining it down a bit so that we don't have water in the lines that we're soldering. So here's what we do. Number one, I have an electric water heater. Even if I had a gas water heater, we still want to do this. We want to shut the water heater off just in case the water heater drains or starts siphoning up. It shouldn't, but it could happen. And what could happen is if it tries to kick on while the elements are not completely submerged in water, you can have what's called a dry fire condition where the element is actually in an air pocket and could burn out in a matter of seconds. So what I like to do is I like to shut the water heater off first, and then we're going to close off the main valve. Now this valve is the one that I actually use on a regular basis when I'm doing plumbing repairs, so this one kind of works. But it doesn't completely shut off. No. Because of its advanced age and the seals are gone, we will have water trickling into the supply indefinitely. So I'm going to open up these valves, and we're going to kind of this will be the last time that this faucet sees the light of day. Right now it's starting to drain the water in the lines above me. This is the lowest faucet in the house. Now what we're going to do, so that we don't have to have the house off for the whole time we're doing this, I'm going to put two brand new valves right here and here. And then we can turn the water supply back on once those are installed, and all will be good again. I'm going to open up some valves upstairs to let them, to allow water to drain out. You can hear air kind of rushing through. We want to drain these lines down as much as possible. We don't want water getting into our soldering job. So we're just going to let it all drain down. Good idea to close the fireplace damper too. Not because of any plumbing related issues, but because we had a fire going last night and I had to leave it open overnight because, you know, carbon monoxide and whatnot. Then disconnect the washing machine. Okay, as I stated earlier, this valve doesn't do a very good job of sealing anything off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the this little drain on the side of the valve. And we're just going to crack this open so that water that builds up in the pipe can be directed into like a bucket or something. Like this one. Yeah, kind of like that. Alright. We gotta get cracking. I've got a couple of different ones I can choose from here. Let's cut this one first. The valve's gonna go right there, and then I'm gonna cut this one so the valves don't hit each other. Sound good? Once we cut this pipe, we're point of no return. As of right now, I can go back and say, you know, I don't think I want to do this today. But once we cut that line, that's it. I'm gonna sweat fit a valve on this guy. Right now, we're basically draining down the entire plumbing system in the house. Possibly even the water heater, because I don't want to shut that valve off because it's old and crappy and I don't want it to leak. Let's get her done. Yeah, it'll be nice to get all this shit out of here. But nice new plumbing. You're not even seeing what I'm seeing here. There, let's try to re-angle that. Oh, there we go. Cutting copper is easy. It's actually a fun material to work with. It really is. Just some basic tools. You can do your own plumbing. A little bit of basic knowledge, a little bit of basic information. You can get it done. Very cheaply too. Copper is expensive. A lot of people are going PEX these days. I don't blame them, but the tools needed are a little bit more expensive, a little more specialized, and it seems like there's always a recall on some kind of modern day plumbing material. So I prefer to stick with copper. Copper's good. You know, copper has a known lifespan of like 100 years. So, I prefer to stick with what I know. So I'm going to offset these a bit. This is a new cutter that I bought. It's designed for low clearance. It's a little round thing. It just clips onto the pipe. It's my first time using it. I've never actually used it before. But, we'll see what it does. Going in the right direction, right? Yeah. They are directional. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to solder on 2 new valves, which I already have, and then we're going to build up the plumbing from there. Sound good? All right. I think I have oh, there it goes. All right. Now, got that all disconnected. Now I've got to grab my deburring tool. You want to deburr the... Here, let's get this out of the way. There we are. Okay. Alright. Where's my deburring tool? Well, I have that. And that. I don't know where my deburring cutting tool is actually built into one of my other pipe cutters. And what it does is it removes all the burrs that end up in the pipe as a result of the cutting process. Now these burrs can cause water to it causes like a disruption in the water flow that over time, they say, can erode the inside of the pipe, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to take our, this is just a pipe cleaner. This cleans the pipe down to bare copper. Which provides for a nice surface to solder on. Like that. Should be nice, clean, shiny copper. Okay. Just like that. So these are the valves I bought. I went with Watts brand. They're a very good quality part. We're going to clean the inside of each valve. We're going to leave them in the open position while we do our work. We're going to clean the inside of the valve with one of these little brushes here. Got a couple of these. Okay. I'm only going to show this part of the job because the rest of it I'm going to have to do some thinking and figuring, and you know, there's no need to make a video of all that. I've got to kind of do some on-the-fly engineering to see how I want this all to go together, but no big deal. So I'm using a MAP gas torch. MAP gas is nice because it heats really hot really fast. Very nice to work with. Instant start. Very nice, very nice. Alright, now I'm going to find some solder flux. Should be a container of that in here somewhere. Alright. Apply a liberal amount of flux. There we are. There we go. Alright. What I'm going to do is hang this guy right here. There we go. And we're going to just position it so that it's above the valve here. Not a bad idea to use these. I was using a piece of metal, but metal conducts heat really well. This does not. This is designed to absorb the heat and spread it out evenly. Okay. Alright. I did a quick Google search because I'm not, you know, the super genius that I play on TV. I wanted to make sure that there isn't a special direction that these actually go in. I just wanted to confirm that, and I'm right. But globe valves, which are the old style valves that we're taking out, they are directional. They're designed so that the pressure point, like the source of the flow, is not on the packing nut side, which makes perfect sense when you think about it. Alright, here we go. I'm going to heat this guy up real good. Solder in there. You're going to watch the solder just kind of wick into the joint. See, there it goes. It's fluid right in there. Now we are next to a smoke alarm, so that might go off. Just going to let the solder go in there. Make sure you get it all evenly. It's just soldering, guys. It's not that big a deal. Most of you know how to do that. I want to neaten that up a little bit. I am a perfectionist after all. I'm going to heat it up one more time. Get those drips out of there. Yeah, just like that. There you go. See, there. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, now we're going to shut this valve off because we're going to turn the water back on. And if we, if we screw that up, well, guess what? We have a bit of a problem now, don't we? Make sure that the board underneath is not on fire. It is not on fire, okay. All right, I think that's going to hold. Put your handy if needed. There's some water in there. Now, nice joint, I like it. Okay, now that should more than hold back the flow of water in the event that it's needed. So, the smoke. This is what well, this is a little rough, but your solder joints should look kind of like that. You don't want to see blobs of solder. Now would be a good time to cut out this piece right here and replace it. I think I'm going to do that. I want to section in, I want to get rid of this valve and section in some new copper in there before I turn the water back on. I got to make sure I have enough of these sleeves because I'm going to need some. I got a bunch of these repair sleeves. So we're going to cut that out while we're here and fix it. Okay, water's coming back on in a minute. This is all done. Okay, so we got that valve out. Make sure this is off, that's closed. Let's go to the main shut off. All the water faucets in the house are currently turned on. So that's cool. I'm going to turn the water back on. See, look at how much water has poured out of the system and continues to pour out of the system. Okay. Make sure you back that off. Look at that. Ooh. Now let's check for leaks. Right now the system's not really under a lot of pressure, so you want to make sure that at least it can hold what it's holding now. Is that a drop? No, that's not a leak. Okay. Now, once we get the system pressurized under normal pressure, still a lot of air in there. Now we want to make sure that the hot tap stays on a little longer. So if there's any air in that water heater, we want it out. Water's still hot too. I'm gonna wash my hands. Alright, now the system's fully under normal pressure. So far so good. And nope, nothing's coming out. Okay, let's check the main shut off, make sure it's not pissing water out. Nope, no more than it has. So this is going to dry up on its own. And our little leak detector isn't moving. Okay, I think we're good. So from here on out, we'll be able to solder and do our finishing touches with the water supply to the house in the on position. And I think I can even turn my water heater back on because I'm pretty confident that there's no water, there's no air in it. So we're gonna fire that back up. Okay. And let that get up to temperature. And that's how it's done. All right, we got some work done. We're not done. So I got to get more of these street elbows. So the difference between a street elbow and a regular elbow is that the street elbow fits into a pipe, and then a pipe fits into it on the other side. They're really handy for kind of maneuvering around things. You can do it with 45-degree angles, but I like the 90-degree elbows, but I like the 45s better. This is how the faucet's going to look. It isn't straight. Unfortunately, the wall isn't perfectly straight, so it is a little off. But again, it's a utility faucet, so who gives a shit? But I put it up high enough to where this can swing either direction. It is above the water line. It's supposed to be above the water line. That's a code, I believe, building code issue. This particular faucet is held in largely by the plumbing itself, so it's in a screwed-on base, but you can't really tighten it in position. So what they want you to do is, I believe, secure the pipes to the wall with clamps, which I will be doing. But that is a beautiful faucet. I love it. All right, we've got the cold water side plumbed in all the way to the washer valve. And the way you do these is you disassemble it, take the O-ring off so you don't melt it. You mount this to the wall and you solder it on. Couldn't be simpler. Well, it could be simpler, but it isn't. So, now I'm getting ready to do the hot side. I did get it right? Yeah, that's the hot one. Good. Just checking. Okay. Moment of truth. So we got the faucet hooked up, and I've got the line jutting out to the washer valve. I'm going to be clamping stuff to the wall once this is done. But before I do that, I want to make sure I have no leaks before I start putting holes in the walls. Here's a new washer valve. This is the kind that you might find in any typical home made today, but back in the old days, they didn't have these. They just had globe valves, which they only last so long. Okay, all right. I'm gonna turn these valves on, see what's gonna happen. Go for it. Okay, we got a leak there. All right, first valve, we have a leak. It's hot water. And the cold, that's an easy fix. These are too loose. No big deal. Cold. Cold is holding tight. But the hot water valve, not so much. Okay, so we got to tighten up this little nut here. Oh yeah, I didn't even tighten it down. Okay, well that explains it then. Alright, you know why? Yeah, I know why. I think it's good and tight. That one's good and tight. Okay. Okay, round two. Both on. Oh, that's going to be black water, baby. Black water. Is it hot like it's supposed to? Yeah, it's hot. Okay. We're on the cold. Gross. I'm going to put a bucket under that one over there, because I don't want that shit getting in my washing machine, so. But, all on at the same time. Alright, so we're going to let that simmer for a bit. Wipe all this stuff down. And we're going to see if any leaks pop up. Check these fittings for any drips. Now let's clean out the other one. Let me go grab a bucket. Hey Amelia, watch this.
I'm watching.
The color of the water that comes out of these faucets. No, actually, it wasn't so bad. We'll flush it out anyway. Nice. Okay. Everything works. It really wasn't that hard, guys. I mean...
Yeah, except when I went to Home Depot 4 times for you.
And I thank you very much for that. Yes. One of the if you're going to tackle a plumbing job like this, there are a couple of things you want to keep on hand.
Make sure you have a girlfriend.
That too, or a wife, or whatever, boyfriend, whatever you want to be. So you want to make sure you have like a bag of elbows, and not just regular elbows. You want 45s, and they're not expensive. They're like 75 cents a piece or whatever. You want some tees, but you want some street elbows, and you want some regular elbows, because they make making joints like this a breeze, and this has to be cleaned up. That's all that burnt flux all over the damn things, but it doesn't have to be pretty. It is a basement, remember. Okay, I'm gonna get the brackets strapped to the wall. Faucet looks good. That's a beautiful faucet. Oh my. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to do something with this freaking outlet. What I want to do is actually, I'm going to pull those staples out very gingerly, and I'm going to relocate it somewhere over here. I'm not going to, so if the wire goes all the way into the second bedroom, I can't get to it, so I'm not going to pull it out. Instead, I'm just going to put an outlet right up here, just to have an outlet there. So it's funny, that was the outlet that probably ran an old Bendix washing machine or something back in the 50s. It was actually attached to the concrete. I just pulled it out. There was a very worn out concrete anchor right there where that hole is. And I've got some dry lock hole plug to fill that in if I want to. Good times. And there we are. Totally rerouted. So, there's the old box. That's where it was. Now it's over there. Okay. You can never have too many outlets. What the hell, right? I thought it would be a fitting end to this video to show the finished product. So, oh yeah, the lens on this camera is dirty. I'm so sorry. There we go. Is that better? How's that look? Does that look any better? Okay. So, the finished product. Let's see what we did. Yes, I tore up that carpet that we had down here. It came with the house. It was disgusting, and I spilled half a gallon of paint on it. It was gross, and it had to go. So I cut it up into strips and dumped it. This is our new carpet, and this was like 65 bucks at Home Depot. It's a nice hemmed edge carpet. I was going to get something right off the roll they had. Yeah, it was a nice color. It was kind of a bluish gray, but that wasn't hemmed, and I didn't want to pay to have it hemmed. So here we are, area rug. So over on the sink end of it, I put 2 soap dishes. These are wall mount soap dishes. And these are going to be used to hold soap and, of course, a sponge. And they're very handy, and we like them. I added this shelf that I just made. Just kind of whipped this up in shop class. Secured with some nice brushed nickel finish brackets. And I moved the towel dispenser over to that side. And I've just got to get some... I'm just going to put a coat of paint on this, and we'll pretend that never happened. And that's it. That's all she wrote. So this is a very nice, this is something we needed. We needed to do something with our utility sink because we had this crappy plastic one. The faucet was hanging off the wall by a couple of screws. I mean, it was just, this is one of those things, it wasn't an important, like, gotta have it projects, gotta get it done. This was just something that has been on my list for 2 years, to do something with this. And the valves for the washing machine, which always leaked, and to get rid of that leaky valve right there. I'm just glad it's done. And I can now move on to the next thing. We're going to paint these stairs. Now I've got everything I need to paint them except the paint. What I'm going to do is these are going to get painted with I've got to actually clean them really well, but I have a bonding primer that I'm going to use, and that bonding primer is going to allow a modern day latex paint to go over this old alkylid paint that they used to use back in the day. So that's going to happen. Yeah, and we're not going to go with gray. Well, I might. If I do go with gray, it's going to be that gray. Got plenty of that paint, so I might just use that up on the stairs. It's a lighter shade of gray, but I do think that taupe actually works better with these walls. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to get another gallon of paint mixed up in taupe. We'll see what happens. Actually, the color is called Mink Stole. That is the color on the sink. So the stuff that I have is concrete paint, which I don't know if that works well enough on wood or not. I don't know how that's going to happen. So I might just get some more paint mixed up, but I'm not going to do it today because we've got two little cats that like to go up and down the stairs all freaking day and night because their litter box is down here, so I don't want to move the litter box upstairs right now. It's not really that urgent. But anyway, when I do that, I'm going to put these treads down. These are stair treads, and these you can staple these down. I think that's how you're supposed to put them on. The self-adhesive ones fall off, but these we're just going to staple them down or tack them down with something, I don't know what. So that's that. Anyways, thank you all for your viewership. And until the next thing. But yeah, I think taupe is the color to use. And when I do that, I might as well tear this out. That's got to go. Yeah, we'll tear this out. We'll put like a 4x4 post here, and that's what we'll attach the railing to. I'm thinking that might be the way to go.